Hello and welcome to Faultlines. I'm your host SHAHZAD. France is going to be the first country among G7 and P5 that is going to recognize the state of Palestine. It's a shocker for pro-Israeli countries and lobbies. However, it was really getting difficult for any country that is pro-Israel to justify and defend the genocide that is still going on in besieged Gaza. Meanwhile, a think tank that is called Middle East Media Research Institute that is run by Jews is taking keen interest in Baluchistan, probably because of Iran, but as we know, there is a collusion between India and Israel against Pakistan as well. What exactly that think tank is doing, we would also discuss in this program. And Foreign Minister and Deputy Prime Minister SHAHZAD is in the United States of America. He had a meeting with his US counterpart Marco Rubio, in which they discussed a number of issues including Afghanistan and Iran, and State Department spokesperson underscored Pakistan's role in the US-Iran dialogue. And Pakistan once again is playing a very pivotal and beneficial and positive role as far as this region is concerned, and helping other countries to set aside their differences and start a meaningful dialogue to iron out any difference even between Iran and the United States of America. And Pakistan in the past has also played such critical role at many occasions. We are going to discuss all these three topics, and in the studio I'm being joined by Humayun Khan. He's a senior analyst and IA expert. Thank you very much, Humayun Khan Saab, for your time, and very soon we would be joined by Ahmad Hassan AWAN and GR BALUCH. Humayun Saab, in September, first of all, France is going to recognize the state of Palestine. How it's going to translate in the Committee of Nation, and would there be any difference in the conflict that's still going on?
I think it's a very significant step in terms of the way the cause of Palestine is being spearheaded in international community, and France being the first G7 and first P5 country to have recognized or officially announced that they are going to do it. I think it's going to have a very, very significant impact on the cause of what is happening right now in Palestine, and particularly in Gaza. You know, a few days back, Pakistan, along with France and also with Saudi Arabia, spearheaded an international conference in the United Nations sidelines, where the demand was to recognize the two-state solution. So I think in that regard, this is particularly very, very important. And being one of the most important countries of P5 and G7, this is going to have more impact. And we have just heard that, UK Prime Minister has also called for also an urgent meeting to meet with the Germans and the French authorities in order to stop what is now officially being called a genocide and starvation of masses, millions of people in Palestine and in Gaza. So I think in that respect, France's decision to take this important step also forces other countries to think introvert as well, and see if an important European and also an important P5 and G7 country could understand the dynamics of what is happening there, how the millions of people are starving, how the masses have been killed, and how a genocide is occurring right in front of our eyes. So this, I think France has taken a very important step, and I think we should praise France's effort. And I think Saudi Arabia and Pakistan were also one of the two important countries which basically led this initiative, and that's how eventually we're seeing what France is doing right now.
All right, Mohammad Hasnain has also joined us on the video link. Thank you very much, Mohammad Hasnain Saab, for your time. And my first question with Humayun Saab was that France is going to take the lead among the important European countries. So, but how it's going to change this conflict? I would not call it a conflict, it's a genocide. Will it stop Israel going for any other massacre or killing of the innocent Palestinians, especially women and children? Ahmad Hassan AWAN Saab is also with us in the studio. Thank you very much, Ahmad Saab. Can you answer this question which I just asked to Mohammad Hasnain? That will it stop Israel's going for any other wave of genocide?
Right. Thank you for the question. I think I have a more of a pessimistic view about this. I don't see this statement from the French president or from other countries which are now stating that they aim to accept or move towards a two-state solution, because this could also backfire. This could also make Israel more emboldened. It could be used by the Israeli government as an excuse to actually delay the ceasefire, and it may maybe make them more aggressive actually. So this is also the downturn towards that aspect. I mean, it is, yes, diplomatically it's a good effort, but I see these statements from these countries which we talk about, the European countries. Last week there was a report which stated that all these countries, more than 24 European countries specifically, called out Israel for the condemnation and the mass starvation and the situation that is over there, especially the humanitarian situation over there. The hypocrisy is that these countries continue to have billions of trade each year as well. So what is going to be the deterrent? Yes, you are saying that yes, we want to recognize and come to a two-state solution both for the Palestinians and for the Israelis, but who will rein in Israeli government? Because as we speak,
they are not out there to punish Israel, I understand completely, but at least this it's a gradual process. Yes. Maybe the first sign of warning to Israel that this we are going to do and next we could do more.
Exactly. This is the optimism, this is the hope that we all want to believe in. But given the track record, given the historical background, the 80 years of this, I mean, we talk about this issue as which began 2 years ago, which in reality this all began more than 80 years ago. So given the track record and kind of relationship they have with Israel, the Western countries, I feel that this could also be, like I said, critical viewing to appease the domestic pressures as well in their own countries.
Okay. Humayun Saab, this Western hypocrisy, to appease the domestic audience and to ally these concerns of the mass protesters in many European capitals, but at the same time they are having a very good time or the good trade economic relationship with Israel. But they are not out there to punish Israel. At least they are recognizing the rights and the right of self-determination of the people of Palestine, at least.
I think there's like two ways to answer this question, and I agree the pessimism which Vansa was mentioning. On the face of it, it looks very sad that you're saying that we agree to a two-state solution, we accept state of Palestine, but when it comes to putting some sanctions or having your relationship with these countries, you continue to do as nothing has happened. But on the other side, what you just mentioned, in the United Nations and as also a moral cause, I think that also gives boost to this idea that we also believe in a two-state solution, pre-1967 borders, where two states should exist. Now this is a very realist world, and countries basically focus more on their own national interest. We could say the same about what Indians are doing in Kashmir for last so many years. And a lot of countries, even though they talk about human rights, but they never condemned India, even in UN or sidelines or many other places. But that could also be said about our own situation in the OIC and many other forums as well, where the condemnation of this human rights violation by Indians, by Israelis, by any other nations which are doing. So in that sense, I guess states normally go for their own inherent interest. But the same cause for the state of Palestine and the morally and politically and diplomatically what we are speaking, I think this will give a boost to the idea that two-state nation could exist and should exist.
All right. Ahmad Saab, the thing is, France is not the only country in this campaign, although French president categorically announced on the social media platform that we are going to recognize a Palestinian state in September. But we think, or we can assume that other countries, maybe not as big as France, but other countries, other European countries will follow the suit.
I think yes, there has been some good news coming from the British Prime Minister as well. He has also acknowledged the situation in Gaza, arguing that the situation has become indefensible actually. Similarly, there has been a statement from the Australian Prime Minister as well, again supporting the idea that there has to be a ceasefire, there has to be some kind of a solution, because this can't go, this madness cannot go on. And this is, like you said, a live genocide happening in front of our eyes in the 21st century. The reason I talk about this hypocrisy in the beginning as well is because when we look at the conflicts around the world, the European countries were, on day one, they were ready to sanction Russia for its invasion of Ukraine. And they talked about all those things like, war crimes, etc., human rights violations. But when it comes to Israel, it has taken them 2 years almost to actually acknowledge the fact that yes, there is a mass starvation happening. This mass starvation is not happening coincidentally. It's a systemic process that is happening. We have to recognize the fact. So it's more like ethnic cleansing of entire community, society, and ethnicity. So I think that's the first point. But yes, like you mentioned, we could build on this, but I think the biggest role has to be played by the US. And so far the US response on this issue has been rather
All right.
condemnation.
All right, all right, all right. GR BALUCH, former ambassador, and Mohammad HASNAIN, he's an IR expert. They are also with us on the video link. Thank you, gentlemen, for your time. GR BALUCH, sir, first to you. This announcement by French president of recognizing the state of Palestine. Are you optimist or pessimist about this announcement? Because there are lots of ifs and buts how it would go about and what type of reaction the pro-Israeli countries and lobbies would give after this decision by France. But there is a sense of optimism as well. So which side you are? Are you being optimist on this or pessimist?
Yeah, I think I'll put it in a little perspective as to why. You see, it's important when one has to understand before I make up my mind whether I'm optimistic or a pessimist. Why at this time? Why? Because the warmongers in Tel Aviv and the Netanyahu and its cabinet, supported by the Zionist camps in the West, especially in the US, probably seems that now they seem to be helpless in convincing Israel to allow at least the humanitarian assistance to these helpless Palestinians, where hunger and starvation is being used as a weapon of war, which is a humanitarian crime, which is a crime against humanity. And it's unfortunate that a person of the president of US, Mr. Trump, seems to be helpless in front of the lobbies to pressurize Netanyahu to withdraw and withdraw is later, but at least allow this thing to happen. So it seems to me that the European countries, which have a better understanding actually of history, have used this a diplomatic leverage at this point of time. So I will understand it and I'll take it positively that it's a very strong diplomatic signaling to Israel and its backers in the West that no, there's still some world capital standing with a Palestinian. So I think in terms of diplomatic support, it's a very, very strong signal. And I am really optimistic that hopefully some more European countries will come out and they will also recognize Palestinians.
We hope so as well, GR BALUCH Saab. Let me stop here and ask one very pertinent question to Mohammad HASNAIN. Mohammad HASNAIN Saab, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
All right. Question now is how would you respond to the reaction by United States of America and Israel, especially as they are declaring this decision by France as rewarding terror? So now Israel is, drum beating, another tune, or I don't know what it is playing, another tune of, I mean, how low and what level it can go to. But my point is that how can they justify decision by an independent sovereign country to recognize another country as justifying or rewarding terror?
Let me begin with the first notion that when you talk about recognition, we had been having that de facto recognition. That's the first step. Now, as we see de jure recognition, where there will be diplomatic relations, as the earlier speakers were talking about. So I'm so much optimistic about it that yes, these states and their recognitions are giving an encouragement to the victimization that is going on in Israel, done by Israel in Palestine, and we see, as you're saying it, that this war on terror. Let me tell you one thing, to be very specific on this notion, that the powerful states have always used their own means of doing things. Let's talk about war against terrorism, now war on terror. The same phenomenon they are talking about. Again, repeatedly talked about this phenomenon for 2 decades now. What has come next? We have seen victimization of Palestinian people. We have seen victimization of the Muslims. So on one side, they are having their tall narratives of having idealistic and democratic system. But it seems to be failing now. But with the good point here I want to stress on is that with this recognition, of course, there will be new ways of diplomatic relation, as I said earlier about the de jure
All right.
recognition. So most of the
All
states
right.
will be
Point well
having
taken.
diplomatic relations.
Point well taken, Mohammad Hasnain Saab. Humayun Saab, if more important European countries follow France, will it stop Israel from its nefarious design of affecting all the Palestinians from Gaza and build a smart city, you know, removing all these rubbles and, you know,
I think unfortunately the answer would be negative. What we have seen in the past,
it won't stop Israel.
unfortunately, what Awan Saab was just mentioned and what we have seen in last many decades, what this Jewish mentality and particularly this Zionist mentality, apologies for saying Jewish mentality, this Zionist mentality which the current government has and the previous governments have, they continue to exist and they continue to do what they have been doing, which is basically annihilating the entire population. And right now we are seeing the ultimate goal that, you know, around 2 million people living in the Gaza Strip, and what they have been doing there. 100 international organization countries have officially called it now mass starvation and genocide. Even if this does not stop, out of 193 recognized countries, 140 countries have already recognized the states of Palestine. If few more have joined, yes, it would put some pressure on the state of Israel, but I'm not sure it would stop them for what they are doing. So I think there has to be a very strong collective effort from all the international community, and particularly what we have just mentioned about the big P5 countries and big G7 countries. And now it's just a start. If France has in the G7 recognized that, it probably will give more moral sense to the cause of these G7 nations that, you know, what is happening.
So if Israel continues with its demonic design against Palestinians, so do you think that these countries, especially big European countries, they would take some sort of strict or punitive measures to stop Israel doing so, or no?
I think if they don't, there are officially mass protests in these international big communities and countries where people in those countries are demanding from their government. You know, it's an open media now, many countries and many international media is showing what's happening there. So if this continue to happen and one international big player has recognized, that gives probably a better cause to the Palestinian cause in the Middle Eastern. We shouldn't be calling it a conflict anymore, this genocide which is happening. So I think this will give more strength to the people who basically believe in independence of media, human rights. So I think if this continues, there's going to be more pressure. Will it be enough? The time will tell.
So Israel is not only, you know, bullying Iran or other countries. There are several countries which are facing, you know, whatever Israel is doing, and with the backing of its powerful allies. But at the same time, there was a very interesting report in Al Jazeera in which it mentioned that Middle East Media Research Institute, they are taking keen interest in Baluchistan, and all we know that there is a collusion between India and Israel against Pakistan, and now you keep Iran in focus as well. So taking interest in Baluchistan and maybe hijacking or taking over sort of insurgencies over there, or calling Baluchistan an independent region, or promoting or fanning separatism not only in Pakistan's side or whatever area Iran has, as we call it. You think that Israel has a greater design of, you know, snuffing out all its adversaries one way or another, and having, you know, a free hand in the entire region?
So I think this is a very important question. First of all, I think when you talk about the hegemonic designs that Israel has, the greater Israel as they call it, we should call spade a spade. This is, I think, the biggest form of religious extremism ever to be seen. This is all they're doing. If you read about or research about the background behind these designs, it's motivated by their religious beliefs, extremist religious beliefs. Often Muslims are accused of, you know, harboring extremist ideas, but reality is that this is a state which is harboring and putting extremist ideas, and based on that, you know, pursuing a policy of aggressionism. So when the Israel war happened, my biggest concern as an analyst was, and also being a Pakistani, was that if the regime, we may have the differences with the Iranian government, but if that regime falls, this is the only buffer we have in terms of, you know, preventing any kind of incursions, insurgencies in Baluchistan, which will allow Israel and India a free hand from that western side. So I think it is very important for the government of Pakistan and for all stakeholders to actually ensure by all means necessary to actually prevent such hegemonic designs from spreading beyond a critical threshold. Secondly, I think one more point I want to mention in this entire debate is the fact that this French president statement has to be also be seen in the context of European Union and US tensions as well, trade tensions in specifically, economic tensions. Trump has repeatedly threatened to impose tariffs on European Union. Similarly, Trump has bypassed the European Union on the issue of Ukraine as well. These are some grievances from the European perspective which they might use as a tool, as a bargaining chip when they negotiate in the coming few months over this issue of Gaza. So I think that is why my pessimism still is there, because they might be using this statement as undermining Trump leadership in terms of this issue by advocating a two-state Palestine.
But there may be a little bit of consideration of whatever is happening in Gaza, of course.
That says goes
the tariff war or the economic war aside, or Ukraine issue aside, but there must be some sort of, and as you just mentioned, that there are pressure from inside in European countries. Anyways, GR Baloch Saab, now Israel has, because of our own position, our military might. I mean, Israel don't dare to challenge us in any way openly, publicly. But as we know, and there are reports available that it is colluding with other anti-Pakistan forces, especially India against Pakistan. So this plan or design of having sort of some sort of base in Baluchistan, ideological base in Baluchistan, or there is a very thin minority of people, maybe they are not here, they are abroad, and which are fanning separatism. They call themselves the people of Baluchistan, the Baluch, the Pakistanis, but at the same time, they all the time they are spitting venom against Pakistan. So you think that we need to keep it in strict check? What exactly they are going to do if the conflict, continues between Iran and Israel? GR Baloch Saab.
Hello. Okay, right. Thank you. I think, good that you brought in. This was yesterday, somebody asked me about Israel is one of your programs. Israel and Iran conflict, and Iran and US conflict. My contention from the beginning has been that intrinsically the security situation or the conflict between Iran and Israel and Iran and America, we cannot stand by and watch it. It is intrinsically connected to our security from various points of view, overall balance of power in the region, our own problems with some kind of disaffected people or insurgencies in Balochistan, and of course their nexus with some Baloch elements in Iran. So definitely, if Iran, God forbid, if again it is decided by these nefarious forces to damage Iran and make it, God forbid, like Iraq, we will be in a very big dilemma. So I think Iran should become the red line of Islamic Ummah for their security, for balance of power. It should become a red line even for Pakistan. I, as an analyst, would very strongly advocate this strategic consideration that security of Iran, not only ideologically, of course, that is very, very important, that they are brothers for hundreds of years. One, but most importantly, it directly impacts our security. It directly encourages our rival towards the east.
Don't you think that before doing that, or in order to do that, you just mentioned Muslim Ummah, but key Muslim countries, they need to first iron out their mutual differences so that they at least have this consensus that any attack on any country of any OIC country would be considered an attack on the entire Ummah. I mean, this consensus has to be there, don't you think?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely. But that is internally for us. So what we need to really go and explain this very concept of the collective security of the Islamic Ummah, of course, not the extended one, that is fine in Africa. We are talking of the Gulf countries. We are talking of Pakistan. We are even talking of Bangladesh. Because in that scenario where Iran, God forbid, is totally disintegrated like Iraq, who will be the next to take over completely the Indian Ocean? Who will come to
It is
the
some,
Strait of Hormuz?
and
It is
of
India.
course, you are absolutely right.
It is India. It is India and Israel which will control your Indian Ocean. Do you want to give it Indian Ocean to these two countries? The rogue regimes of these two countries, we have seen them. I'm not saying only with the words, it's all deeds that they have proven themselves
all
to
right.
be rogue regimes.
And Humayun Sahib, it's not a unique idea of having a collective security. I mean, we have examples in the past. I mean, take NATO for example, and attacking South America would be considered attack on the on North America, the doctrine. I mean, we have several examples, historical example. So, is it something very difficult for the OIC countries to have consensus on that any attack on the key, not any country of any Muslim country would be considered attack on the OIC, the entire Muslim Ummah?
I think as an idea, it's a great idea. It's $1 million question how to achieve that, considering the Muslim countries.
When they could achieve that, why can't we?
I think there are many reasons to that. If you see the political setup of different Muslim countries, you'll see some countries having democracy, some countries having monarchy, some countries having dictatorship, some countries having a different system. So in order to sustain their own domestic, political, environmental and other challenges, they'll have to have a bilateral relationship with certain other bigger countries. And those certain other bigger countries violate international human rights law and many other laws. Let's not get there. So in order to maintain their own system within their country, that's one of the biggest reasons,
But
I
it's
would
within the realm of possibility, right?
yeah, well, theoretically it's possible. We've already quoted a lot of examples where North America, South America, entire NATO, they've come to this idea that attack on one nation could be considered attack on another nation. Collective security has been a concept in international relation and it could be achieved. But I think the leaders of Muslim Ummah should get together and they should have an aim of how to take the Muslim Ummah and where to take the Muslim Ummah. And fortunately,
we got together against terrorism. I mean, there was a collective security force, and I mean, there is an example available. So, if there is a state that is sponsoring terrorism or openly attacking any of the Muslim countries, so that target or objective can be achieved as well.
Absolutely, it can be achieved, and it's not only within the realm of Muslim Ummah, it's in the United Nations Charter as well. You know, you have like two different charter where use of force is allowed, and what we are seeing right now, one country using use of force against humans which have no way to retaliate, the entire international community should get up and say no to what the genocide is happening in the Middle East. So in that sense, yes, but I guess there are many variables which needs to be taken into consideration, and I hope somehow in next few years or a decade there could be a possibility of a Muslim Ummah where we could have a collective security of the entire Muslim Ummah.
All right, Awan sir, what's your take on this?
I think this is a very interesting perspective, but I think just giving a historical background, we Muslim societies used to have the Khilafat, right? Interestingly, that Khilafat collapsed and we became nation states. Ironically, the very European empires who broke down the Ottoman Empire and Islamic Caliphate are now have formed the European Union, the NATO. So in a way, they have their own form of unification and collective security arrangement for their own societies and countries. In
but
that
keeping
way.
their own identity and
Exactly.
sovereignty.
Yeah, I mean, there's no harm in that. We can also have the same kind of. We used to have the same kind of arrangement as well. It was very decentralized, but it was an arrangement. So yes, I think the idea is very much the same. I mean, it could be done, but again, it will take a lot of political courage and will to actually be able to achieve that, because back in the 70s there was an attempt by the Muslim countries to come together, but that was again with the involvement of other countries, there was certain aspects which did not materialize into a proper outcome. So and one more thing that we have to also consider is that the recognition of Palestine or the announcement by the French is also actually a symptom of the breakdown of the state narratives around the European societies. The fact that it has come 2 years down the lane shows you that ultimately the people are not buying the government or state policy as Israel being the victim. They understand the actual victim is actually the Palestinians and not the state of Israel.
All right. GR Baluch sahab, how would you think this visit of Foreign Minister and Deputy Prime Minister SHAHZAD to the United States of America. And the State Department spokesperson, she underscored Pakistan's role in helping United States, initiating sort of a dialogue process with Iran. So once again, Pakistan is playing a pivotal role in the region. I mean, we played a role in Afghanistan, of course, but we suffered a lot at least. But here, is there any possibility that Pakistan would come forward as a frontline state to broker sort of a deal between Iran and the United States of America?
Yeah, I'll just give me 2 minutes, 1 minute. I'll just complete what the thought of the Muslim security.
Sure.
The concept of security has changed now. You see, it's not about sending your troops, your tanks and airplanes. You could have a security with a great umbrella. Pakistan is a nuclear state. Of course, it's primarily for our security, but there could be some kind of arrangement where at least the vulnerable states of the OIC can be protected. So something can be worked out. Also, that the Muslim history of OIC tells us 1973 what happened. Because I was in Syria, and those who were the senior leaders, they used to narrate how Pakistani pilots, they turned the tables on Israelis, and not only on Israel, but the war went in favor of the Arabs. That is different than what happened later. So now, coming from that stream, so what has happened today, sir, that Pakistan has emerged as a factor of stability, a force of stability, a power of stability globally, and particularly in the region, South Asian region, and especially in the West Asian region. And that is the kind of role that Pakistan has been playing, maybe not that effectively, but after God has given us these successes, which are not like one has not to be proud of like that way, but be humbled on our military front as well as on the diplomatic front, and that has brought Pakistan to that level. The way we responsibly, even in war without, which was posed as on us without provocation, we behaved responsibly, and we did not get provoked into overreaction or knee jerk as are others. So I think we as a state have demonstrated a responsible behavior. This is where now the international community kind of has a confidence on you, and that is what they want you to play that role. So it is not a role that you go and seek, but these kind of roles, they just come on you based on your behavior, on your articulation of the position and the diplomacy. So I think is a great moment in our diplomatic victories, or I wouldn't say the word victory, but successes. That is how a responsible state behaves.
Point well taken, sir. Point well taken. Point well taken.
Yes, sir.
All right. Mohammad Hasnain Saab, so the Foreign Minister was very well received in the United States. So is it the recognition by the US to the role Pakistan's been playing, or you think that because of this particular event with vis-a-vis Iran, that they once again needs Pakistan, so once again they are giving too much importance to our country? Or do you think that there is an actual recognition of how Pakistan is playing its role in the past and in the present by the United States?
That's a great question. Let me start with history. You know, Pakistan has always been the strategic significant state. Talking about US, USSR during the 1980s, we have seen during the current dilemma of war against terrorism, we have been the frontline warrior in the war between Iran and Saudi. There is a strategic rivalry, and Pakistan is there to balance them. So Pakistan does play a great role in regional as well as international affairs. Seeing the history, we can just come out with this idea that Pakistan has, and I really want to ask my colleagues here a question, that why as a state we are unable to get our strategic leverage. It's now high time that we should come out of our old traditional prisms to work for that. We have seen that with the success stories, the current success story of the 4 days war with India, we have come out We have to,
Right.
cut out the old traditions and bring new ways and new strategic things that are in favor of Pakistan. So I do say it that Pakistan is doing, Pakistan has done, and inshallah, Pakistan will be doing that great role. And it's always in favor of the
All
state's
right.
narrative.
Point taken, sir. Point taken. Point taken. Awan Saab, lastly, I mean, there are a lot of concerns, worries among policy makers in Pakistan and in the United States as well, because it is generally believed that we don't trust each other. We only work together when we need each other. I mean, this is how the real world works. I mean, why people are, taking, too much expectation or keeping too much expectation from the countries which is like 10,000 kilometers away from us with no cultural similarities or language or anything?
That's a very important aspect of the question. I think, first of all, we have to acknowledge that yes, Pakistan-US relationship has been transactional, and that transactional nature has primarily been centered upon military cooperation. Even if you look at the Cold War scenario, if you look at the war on terror, it's simply military centric. What we missed out on was that we weren't able to convert that military cooperation into something economic partnership or economic strategic relations with each other. Given your question that states which are miles apart, thousands of miles apart, well, this is not the only case study in the world which will be unique. Singapore, US has billions of bilateral trade with each other every year, annually. So there are examples where countries do have trade with each other which are far away. What we need to do this time around is actually to ensure that we are not just a military partner. We also have the ability, the capability economically as well. And I think this is something that we are leveraging with the CPEC as well, because we are now showing to the world that because China is being able to invest in Pakistan, and it in a way acknowledges our economic importance and economic skills as well. So in that context, USA is now also recognizing that. Second aspect is that USA, like you said, every state looks out for their own interest, especially in today's world, in a world which is increasingly becoming illiberal. Rules-based system is collapsing. So in that context, it is also being used by the US to actually gain some leverage over India as well, because India is one of the biggest trading partners, and they use tariff against them.
Right. Humayun Saab, lastly, your take on this, and we are unlocking new avenues with the United States. We are not only talking about Afghanistan or any other security related issue, but we are talking about minerals, mines and minerals, and we are talking about cooperation in digital infrastructure, in artificial intelligence, and as foreign minister also underscored that US is the largest trading partner with Pakistan, and a balance of trade is in favor of Pakistan. I mean, that's in that context. So you think that we are going to have sort of better reasonable and realistic relationships this time?
I think it's a very complex question for me to answer in a very short time, but given the statistics that you were just mentioning, and also consider United States of America thousands of miles apart, it's the largest trading in terms of one nation. We export the most our stuff and goods and services to US, and we import the most from Chinese. So we are a very unique country in a way which is basically having a very interesting relationship with one of the most strategic ally, and another ally which we have a transactional relationship, and we are trying to improve that as well. So I guess as of now in 21st century, now geography doesn't matter. America is the neighbor of every country, so does other bigger countries. So we are living in a digital age. So if Pakistan can leverage its position in terms of mines and mineral trades, strategic routes that we are sitting closer to in East and West Asia, Middle East and other places. So I think we have come up in 76 years with different experiences. Now we are in a very smart and unique position where we could play our role and make ourselves more pivotal in the geopolitics of the world.
All right. Thank you very much, Humayun Khan Saab, Ahmad Hassan Awan Saab, Mohammad Hasnain, GR BALUCH. Thank you very much, gentlemen, and thank you very much, viewers, for watching the program. Good night and Khuda Hafiz.